Hey, everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver. I'm here with my sister, co host, and partner in crime, Christy Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody. It's Monday. It's
Ah,
been a Monday
oh
for
my,
me,
it has been Super Monday. Holy moly, there's a lot going
right?
on.
Yeah, but I've dropped and spilled multiple things today. Also, I have our dad's barber chair in my living room. And if you're not careful, you can bark your shins on the footrest
Oh
real
no.
hard. And I did that today. I have a big purple bruise. Yeah, I'm like way off.
Oh,
I don't know what the hell it was with today, but I've had some trouble. Let's just put it that way.
oh man. Yikes. Well, I've been a little off too. We unfortunately have kind of a true crime drama playing out in my family, in my husband's family right now. I hope it's not
Mm.
actually, but we have my brother-in-law was found dead last week, and they're calling it a suspicious death. And his
Mm.
camp trailer he was living in has been impounded, and he is being autopsied currently at the Idaho Crime Lab. And we don't know very much, and so it's a really weird one. It's weird to be on this side of the coin.
Yeah.
We have been estranged from him for about 15 years, and so we're just we just don't know how to feel. It's a hard one. There's
Mhm.
a lot of information. Surprising amount of disinformation or misinformation came out through different family members talking to different police officers. Heard very different things, which
Oh,
has caused a
wow.
lot of confusion. And
Yeah.
yeah, so again, we've been estranged from him for a very long time, due to drug use and things, and just keeping our family safe and separate from things that our kids didn't need to be exposed to.
Yeah.
But it's definitely it's very different to be on this side of it, and
No
be the
kidding.
family that's waiting for news and wondering what's happening and hearing different things, and definitely creating empathy for me in a different fashion. So I'm sure at some point I will have a fuller report on this whole thing for you guys. I intend to. But yeah, that's. I think all weekend long I was kind of running on adrenaline, and today I didn't even get dressed. I've just been kind of
Yeah.
flatlined. So
I
yeah,
bet.
I don't even know what to say right now. It's very shocking.
That
Yeah,
is. I hope it gets resolved soon, and I really hope it isn't a crime. I really do. Just
me too. Me too. I hope that there's an answer. I hope there's an answer more than anything. So,
right.
because as we know, a lot of times in these unattended deaths, there's not. So, but
Yeah.
the police are that there's some things that have happened. I'll put it all together for you when it's appropriate, when I have everything. So, at any rate, right now, all we know is it's a suspicious death. So we'll go from there.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, speaking of weird and suspicious things,
Mm-hmm.
last Wednesday, I told you all how excited I was about my new Etsy shop, Fidget
Yeah.
Whimsy. Well, after a very frustrating 4 days with Etsy, they kicked me off Etsy.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I can't get any information as why. They say I violated terms and conditions. I don't know what they mean. I am clueless to this. So, Fidget Whimsy rises again. But
Mm-hmm.
if you followed it over on Etsy, you won't find it there anymore. So it's now on Instagram. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm still just as excited about Fidget Whimsy and
Well,
about
yeah.
making my fun fidgets and everything. And so I am rebuilding, picking
Mm-hmm.
myself up, dusting myself off after that ridiculous mess that
Mm-hmm.
resulted in fraud on two of my debit cards. Thanks, Etsy. I am now doing something different. So you will find Fidget Whimsy on Instagram, and
Mm-hmm.
you can order any of my little fidgets there instead and watch my little videos. It's kind of funner actually, because I like as I make things, I can make a video and show you what I made and show
Yeah.
you it in action and that kind of thing. So it's kind of
Mhm.
better in some ways. So please go check it out. Please go follow me, Fidget Whimsy, on Instagram. And I wanted to show you a new little friend I have here. This is a fidget snail that I am now offering, and the snail shell is a liquid core with a sparkly potion inside, and it shakes.
So
And you
cute.
play with it, and I can make them into necklaces if you want them to be, or they can be a pocket fidget as well. But they are super cute. Some people were mentioning they wanted things that were more for boys. Guess what? I got
Mhm.
snails. So please go
So
check that
cute.
out. And sorry for the bother to ask you to follow me again in a different place, but I promise I'm not going anywhere now. I don't think Instagram is going to be near as difficult and annoying as Etsy has been.
Yeah.
So,
So, boo on you, Etsy, but you can't keep a good girl down, so here you are.
right? I'm like, no, I've already made all this stuff. Like,
Oh,
no, I am definitely not done. So,
well, good for you for just moving on.
yes.
Well, today has been a jam-packed day in the courts. Like,
Oh
we
my
can hardly
gosh,
keep up. We had to divide and conquer because there's
we did.
so much happening. One thing that happened that we're not going to cover Troconis today, the Michelle Troconis trial, except for to say that believe this, they had to replace another juror. This time because the juror in question had to leave the country.
Like, what? Yeah,
Well, okay then. I
they are
hope they
running
don't
out of alternates
in a
quickly.
hurry. I really hope this doesn't end up in a mistrial because they run out of jurors. I've
Well, and
never
this
seen
is only a
anything like
six
it.
person jury. It's a six
Yeah.
person jury, and they had five alternates, and they've already used three.
Mhm.
Yikes. I mean, holy crap.
It's
This
bananas.
has got to settle down.
Also, in Daybell, tomorrow there was supposed to be a Daybell hearing. We would have been streaming it and reporting on it. That's been vacated, so that will not be happening tomorrow. I know.
Dang
Boo.
it. I was ready to see what John Pryor is going to do now that he is working, whether he wants to be or not. And no one really
Mhm.
knows if he does or if he doesn't. Because
Well,
I've never seen anyone talk out of both sides of their mouth at the same time the way he
well,
does.
well, then let me blow your mind a little further.
Mm,
You know how last week he tried to stop defending Chad, right? And the judge said, "No, bitch, you're in."
yeah.
You guys, it wasn't 2 days, and he filed more than 40 subpoenas. Well, you
My
don't put those
God.
together in 2 days. He had that
No.
ready to go. He had at
He
least 40. I think
did.
there's more than that, but somewhere in that ballpark subpoenas. So, A, remember Lori's trial where the defense didn't call anybody? Well, you're not going to get that in Chad's because Pryor has subpoenas coming out the eyeballs, uh, and other
Well,
things,
he
I'm
has
sure.
his own strategy, you know. He made that
Indeed.
very clear.
But he had all those ready to roll. So, what was the strategy?
Trying to force the situation so that he gets paid,
Or gets more
trying
time?
to force the situation where Chad is denied a death penalty certified attorney. I don't know. Is this fodder for appeal later, maybe, or a reason to try to get the death penalty stricken? I think all those things are possible.
Yeah, there's something to it because that
Yeah.
man had all of those subpoenas ready to file when he filed to leave the case. He had to have. So I'm dumbfounded, but there you go. But that gives you a little sense of what's going to happen in Chad Daybell's trial. It's going to be a lot longer than Lori's because the
Oh,
defense
you
is putting
guys.
up a fight.
It is going to be some bullshit, is what it's
Hmm.
going to be.
It is. Now, he has every right to put up his own defense and put up a
Of
fight, but
course.
what is this going to be? I can't
What
even
is the
imagine.
defense going to be? Yeah,
Mhm.
that makes any sense at all. I mean, we
Mhm.
know, blame it on Alex, blame it on Lori, you know.
Mhm.
Maybe they'll use our term and blame it on the golden vagina, but probably not. Uh, but
Okay. Now,
yikes.
yeah,
Mm.
it's just occurring to me that those subpoenas could have been filed by the state. We don't know that they were filed by Pryor.
Oh,
I might be
okay,
dumb as
okay.
hell right now. I could be dumb as hell
Uh-oh.
right now.
But we know a lot of subpoenas have been filed by somebody.
Yeah, that could have actually been the state. I don't know why I thought
Oh,
it was in my head that that was filed by Pryor. It doesn't necessarily mean it was.
right. That's true. They're just filed, but we don't know.
Mhm.
Okay. And it
All
could be
right.
that they're both filing subpoenas right now, too.
It could be, but glad we cleared this up.
Yes. Right in the center of the right? This is
Mhm.
breaking news.
Somebody's brain is breaking.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Oh my
sorry for
goodness.
all of that. We'll have to see. Though I do think the defense is going to put up a fight. But anyway,
Hmm. Me too.
regardless, uh, we wanted to start in earnest today with missing persons update. We discovered a
Yeah.
family on Twitter that is desperately seeking their daughter, and we promised that we will run a story on her. So I'm going to kick the mic over to you to give us the deets on that.
Yes. This lovely lady right here is India Delilah O'Hanlon. She's 25 years old, and she vanished in a really concerning way. She was on a Zoom call with her parents
Mm-hmm.
when she became agitated. She heard a man come in. They heard his voice,
Mm-hmm.
became agitated and acting upset, and then the call just ended. This
Mm-hmm.
call, and they've been unable to reach her in any way since.
Yeah.
Goes by the name New Delhi, so that's what people call her, is New Delhi. So this happened on January 16th. She's 25 and she lives in San Diego, California.
Mm-hmm.
The concern here, first of all, is that this happened in the first place, and the parents are like,
Right.
something is not right.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have been unable to contact her since. They have also really been struggling with getting the police to give a damn. Boy,
Mm-hmm.
I'm familiar in a missing persons case.
Yeah.
A lot. Um, so she left behind her credit cards, her social security card, like all her stuff,
Mm-hmm.
her apartment. That just doesn't seem like someone who just went off on a jaunt or
No. And now
a
her
road
parents
trip
are
or
not even in this country, right?
right. They're
Yeah.
not. And they're very scared
Mm-hmm.
about what's happened, what possibly could have happened to her, and they're just trying to get the police to be in contact with them.
Yeah.
So, strangely, the police in San Diego are saying now that they've been trying to reach them by DM, but their DMs were turned off. So they weren't calling them, they were messaging them. I don't really know if that seems like the police doing a bang up job.
Right.
They are now calling them because posting on social media, dad got some serious response. And so
Mm-hmm.
now they are working with the San Diego Police Missing Persons Unit,
Mm-hmm.
and they are talking to a detective now and getting
Mm-hmm.
some help. But I mean, why does it always seem like it takes something like this to pressure
Mm-hmm.
the police, you know?
Yeah.
It's really scary, but she's been missing for
Yeah.
a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
Absolutely no sign of her. She's not using her credit cards. She's not
No.
using her phone. She's not doing any of the things that you would do
Yeah.
on a normal daily basis.
It's terrifying. And her poor
It
family, I
is.
can't even imagine. Yep. So, you want to show us her face one more time?
Yeah, let's do. So this is New Delhi right there.
Yeah.
Lovely white girl, long brown hair, big brown eyes. So,
Mm-hmm.
you live in the
Beautiful,
San
beautiful
Diego
girl.
area. Please be aware that she is missing.
Mm-hmm.
You know our motto, see something, say something.
Always.
Let's see if we can help bring this girl home.
And our other motto, in honor of Naomi Arion, Believe the family.
Believe
When the
it.
family says something's
Family, damn
wrong,
it.
listen to them, for Christ's sake.
Right. When they say something's wrong, it's because something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I would be terrified if I had a loved one, get upset and end a Zoom call and then be unreachable. Like that,
Yeah.
that's nightmare fuel.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. Well, speaking of nightmare fuel, Alex Murdaugh was back in court today.
Oh my
That
God.
started Friday and into today. This was, of course, the hearing in front of retired Chief Justice Toll to decide whether or not Murdaugh gets a new trial.
Such a badass.
Oh my gosh.
I love her.
Adore
She's the
her.
best.
She's amazing. So basically, as you probably already know, what happened, Alex was convicted about 9 months ago of murdering his son and his wife. And since then, his attorneys, Jim and Harpootlian, have been trying to prove that there was wrongdoing on the jury. What they're saying is that the county clerk, the Colleton County clerk in South Carolina, Becky Hill, that she had some misdoings, that she had said things to the jury that affected the way they may have found a verdict. And for that reason, they were seeking a new trial. So the brief that they filed initially and the subsequent press conference was really bombastic and full of a lot of accusations. And people were like, holy shit, you better be right, or you two are going to be in a lot of trouble. Well, they were kind of right and kind of dramatic, which is true to the style of both of these two. So I'm going to show you a couple of things. The first thing you're going to see is Dick Harpootlian questioning Becky Hill on the stand. And then we're going to see retired Chief Justice Toll's verdict. So I'm going to show you both of these things.
Did you tell the jury not to be fooled by the evidence presented by Mr. Murdaugh's lawyers?
Mr. Harpootlian, I never talked to the jurors about any of the evidence.
Okay, the answer would be yes or no, then you can explain. Did you say that?
No.
Okay. Did you ever instruct the jury to watch him closely immediately before he testified, looking at his actions, looking at his movements? Did you ever tell the jury to do that?
No.
Did you ever tell the jury to pay attention to Mr. Murdaugh's testimony?
To pay attention, not specifically to his testimony. I did tell the jury to pay attention.
To what? Just
generally in the hallway when I was speaking.
Not to him?
No.
Just any witness?
Right.
Okay. Did you ever warn the jurors the defense is about to do their side? This is right before, right at the beginning of the defense case. They are going to say things that will try to confuse you. Don't let them confuse you or convince you or throw you off. Did you ever tell the jury that?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you ever tell the jury, if you get emotional, we want to see your face because that is what they want to see? You ever tell them that?
No, sir.
Did you ever tell the jury that Mr. Murdaugh was about to testify?
I didn't tell the jurors that.
Now, did you tell the jury that if they didn't reach a verdict by 10 o'clock, they were going to have to spend the night?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you ever tell them they were going to have to spend the night at
No,
some
sir.
point? Did you ever tell them that they couldn't smoke?
No, sir.
Okay. You got any other books in the works?
No, sir.
I mean, doesn't this make a good book?
Court is not completely credible as a witness. Ms. Hill was attracted by the siren call of celebrity. She wanted to write a book about the trial and expressed that as early as November 2022 long before the trial began. She denies that this is so, but I find that she stated to the clerk of court, Rhonda McElveen, and others, her desire for a guilty verdict because it would sell books. She made comments about Murdaugh's demeanor as he testified, and she made some of those comments before he testified to at least one and maybe more jurors. Did Clerk of Court Hill's comments have any impact on the verdict of the jury? I find that the answer to this question is no. Each member of this jury took their involuntary assignment very seriously. They obeyed the instructions of the court. They obeyed their oath. These good and decent citizens of Colleton County stood to their duty and rendered their verdict without fear or favor. It was a difficult task. 11 of the jurors very unconditionally said they either heard no comment, or if they heard a comment, it had no effect. One juror was ambivalent in her testimony. She was then examined on her previous affidavit, in which she said the effect, if any, that she had was pressure she felt from other jurors. The cases are myriad that pressure from fellow jurors is a part of the normal give and take of jury deliberations. The court is not to inquire in any way about what is said in those deliberations. But the juror, who was somewhat ambivalent, said on her oath at the time of trial twice, and said on her oath before me in these proceedings, that she stood to her oath. The clerk of court allowed public attention of the moment to overcome her duty. I have read the entire transcript of this lengthy trial, not an easy task. I have studied in detail all of the authorities cited. I have independently researched the case law, learned treatises, and scholarly articles on the subject. Although there is certainly a split in the federal circuits and in the states on the standard of review, I simply do not believe that the authority of our South Carolina Supreme Court requires a new trial in a very lengthy trial such as this on the strength of some fleeting and foolish comments by a publicity-influenced clerk of court. This is a matter within the discretion of the trial judge, and I am the trial judge at this moment. I do not feel that I abuse my discretion when I find the defendant's motion for a new trial on the factual record before me must be denied, and it is so ordered. I will file a fuller order which denies this motion on the grounds I have recited on the record before me as a trial judge and the authorities that have been cited by all parties in this matter. To that end, I will hold the record open. I direct that within 4 business days of receipt by the attorneys in this matter of a transcript of these proceedings, a proposed order by the state denying the defendant's motion for a new trial with citations be sent to me and to opposing counsel. I will allow the defendant 4 business days from receipt of the state's proposed order to lodge objections and or submit an alternative proposed order. Upon receipt by the court of all proposed orders, I will finalize this record, submit a written order, and I will at that time transmit the written order to the Court of Appeals, the court which has remanded this matter to me. This hearing is adjourned.
Na 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 na. Hey hey hey, goodbye. Not really, because
I
they're
stand Judge
already
Toll.
promising. Right, Judge Toll is such a baddie. That woman
She's so
is.
great.
She's so much smarter than Dick and Jim that it's just It's
Yeah.
heartbreaking, really.
Well, and I like how she can separate out how Becky Hill was clearly had her head turned by celebrity in the book and foolishness.
Mhm.
But did that throw this trial? No, it didn't.
Becky Hill perjured herself on the stand. I am in full belief that she did. I don't know if SLED will do
Mhm.
anything with that or what will happen here. Becky did a lot of things she shouldn't have done. One of the things she did, and this was verified by Miss Rhonda. Miss Rhonda is a clerk of a different county that was at the Colleton County Courthouse to assist with this trial because it was so big. It was so, it was like Idaho handling the Daybell trial. It's huge and
Yeah.
it was way out of their purview. And, so anyway, Miss Rhonda was there. Miss Rhonda was my favorite part of today. She was so funny and so cute and she was just hysterical. But I would love to just have lunch with that lady because and just hear her words because she was awesome. But she verified that, yes, Becky Hill at one point did give a juror a ride home one night after court
What are you doing, lady?
and heard that and confronted her about it and said, "Did you give a juror a ride home?" She said, "Please don't tell me you gave a juror a ride home." And she said, "Oh, I did, but I had Mr. Bill, he's the bailiff with her." But
So,
and she said, "Well,
still
it was
was a bad
like
idea.
this." Right. She said, "We didn't talk about the case, but you can't do stuff like that." But Dick Harpootlian
No.
asked her on the stand if she did that, and she looked him right in the eye and said no. And
Mm.
multiple people had talked about her doing that. She did
She's just
break
in
the rules. She
CYA
did
mode.
yeah, she put this case in major jeopardy. Incredibly, incredibly irresponsible. But essentially, what happened is all of the jurors, except for one, emphatically said either they didn't hear Becky Hill say anything that they deemed to be inappropriate or influential to them,
Yeah.
or they said that she didn't say anything that affected their scope of their opinions about the case at all. She
Yeah.
also
I mean, how much influence would she
right
really have had? They knew what
right
they were there to do. Yeah. I think it calls into question the intelligence of the jurors in a way that I don't really like.
hmm
To think that she could have said something that would make them.
right. Well, she created this whole brouhaha that the jurors have had to deal with. She
Yeah.
put the case, the verdict itself, in jeopardy. She really attempted to violate the defendant's rights. It's all really bad. Besides the fact that she had been saying to people that a guilty verdict would sell books or sell more books. She also had to admit on the stand that she did uh, steal part of her book, and it's now been pulled off the stands because she stole part of
Right.
the some of the writing for her book. So I mean, it's all bad. It's just all
Hmm.
bad. Afterwards, of course, Dick and Jim ran right out to a press conference where they promised that they will now go back to the appellate court and from there to, if needed, I promise, boys, it will be, to the South Carolina Supreme Court and from there to the United States Supreme Court if necessary. I don't know that they'll ever get that far. They're going to keep trying to push
U.S.
this, but I
Supreme Court
feel
will
like
not take this. They
here's the
will not.
thing Jean Toll is deeply and widely respected. And a judge is going to be really hard pressed to uh, go against her word. But she also did an immaculate job of creating a record, of not violating anyone's rights. Frankly, today I was a little frustrated early in the day that I felt like she was giving Harpootlian way too much rope
Hmm.
and letting him. Initially, she said, "We are not putting Becky Hill's entire life or misdeeds or wrongdoings on trial here. That's not what we're here to do." She really let him do that. She also let him put an alternate juror on the stand, which is something she said that she was not going to let them do. And because of that, he said, "Well, I mean, Your Honor, I mean, since we are letting this juror on the stand, the egg lady is right across the street and she'd be happy to come right on over here and take the stand." And right across the street, waiting.
Right across the street.
And she was like, "Yeah, no,
You
that
got eggs for everybody again?
yeah." So it was, the circus you would expect, but Harpootlian took it one step further in the press conference, said that they now know who really killed Paul and Maggie, and that once they get their new trial, they'll be able to prove
Yeah, okay. Well, we all know who really killed Paul and Maggie.
that. This is
Give me a break. And they
the
can
guy in the
say,
orange jumpsuit right there.
yeah, they can say they're going to appeal, blah, 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 blah. But this was the big important, this was the teller, I think.
I think so too.
If this judge was not buying this, nobody else is going to either.
No. This morning people were like, "Oh, the juror this morning, juror Z, she said, well, what she said wasn't what she said in the original affidavit." And so there was
Yeah.
it was like she said, it was pretty ambivalent. She wasn't,
Mhm.
she was kind of like, "Well, maybe, yeah, that was said. Yeah, that might have, yeah, probably affected. I don't know." Eventually, she kind of came to the conclusion that what really affected her was the peer pressure from the other jurors, which, as Judge Toll said, that happens. There's nothing we can do
Right.
about that. That is just a part of being
Right.
on a jury.
Well, and our legal system runs on the trust of juries. It does.
Mhm.
And I think that most courts are very hesitant to override what a jury did.
Mhm.
And I think this is one of those cases where some stupid stuff happened that shouldn't have happened. But did
Mhm.
that violate Murdaugh's rights or throw this case? It didn't.
Did it violate his rights to the degree that he deserves a new trial? Judge Toll
Yeah,
says
I don't
no.
know.
It, to me, cases like this, I think, are very concerning. In this country, we need citizens to continue to show up as jurors. And
Right?
when jurors have their lives upended like this, when jurors are having random visits, the reason they uncovered this in the first place is that after the trial, they were tracking down the jurors and questioning them. And I think that's really problematic, right on its face. Uh,
Mhm.
Also, some of those jurors did go on TV and they were complaining about that, but that's their right to do. They can discuss it if they want to. It was
They
also
can.
Becky Hill's right to write a book, though I think it was really, really misguided and shouldn't have happened. It
Yeah.
is still her right to do so. Uh, but the fact that all of these jurors had their lives upended, the fact that they've had to get attorneys, that they've had to come back into court, these are not things we want to do to jurors, ever.
No, not at all. Not at all. And to somehow call into question the work that they did, that all of the time that they put in on this trial.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was really glad that she called them, these good and decent citizens of Colleton County.
Right.
This has affected them profoundly in probably more ways than we'll ever understand. So
Oh, I'm sure.
that's what happened. We'll keep you abreast because I'm sure there's more coming with this case. There always is. But for now, we stand Judge Toll. Judge Toll is a baddie.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah,
We need a lot more judges just like her.
yeah, for sure. So, speaking of judges, my God, let's talk about Delphi.
Oh, you guys. Okay. So, this is Richard Allen. Remember Richard Allen? This guy right here, who has been sitting in a Supermax prison, well, one and now another one, for quite some time now, awaiting all of this bullshit to settle down. The Indiana Supreme Court did reinstate his original public defenders. They did not remove the judge. So now the real shenanigans begin. So Allen's attorneys have now uh, put through a motion to disqualify the judge. So they're going after Judge Gull. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what the filing is. I'm not going to read you the whole. It's really long, but they're basically saying that she's violated a bunch of codes of misconduct and violated his rights, and they want her removed. Now the thing is, this is her decision to make. They're saying she violated her code of conduct with not being impartial, showing preference for the prosecution, which I think is pretty interesting. They've accused her of a lot
Mm-hmm.
of her own behavior plus just violating his rights. So their outcome is this: Judge Gull should recuse herself and, in doing so, restore any sense of impropriety that is clouding the system of jurisprudence in the state of Indiana and in this very proceeding because of the judge's prior actions. The recusal of Judge Gull would be entirely consistent with the spirit and foundation of all of these codes of judicial conduct that she has violated, that are founded on judicial impartiality and fairness. So they're basically calling her out, saying that she has not been impartial, that she has given preference to the prosecution, and that she has unfairly ruled against Richard Allen. So these are big allegations, but remember that Judge Gull is the person to make this decision.
Yep.
Judge Gull would have to recuse herself, and I think that's pretty unlikely to happen, considering that this all just went to the Indiana Supreme Court, and the Indiana Supreme Court didn't remove her.
Mm-hmm.
So, in response, the prosecution has filed contempt allegations against Richard Allen's attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're saying that they violated the gag order, which actually doesn't make any sense at all because the date they're using was long before the gag order was put into place.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they're talking about, the evidence that got released, that got leaked from one of their offices, and we all know that happened. That has been addressed several times. So it's just it's a tit for tat situation, is what it is. The defense wants the judge removed. The prosecution wants them removed.
Mm-hmm.
Are we ever going to try this case? Is this ever going to be about Abby and Libby? The actual victims here? Are Abby and Libby's families ever going to see any kind of justice in this situation? Can these guys all stop friggin' fighting long enough to do what their actual jobs are? I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just more of this drama that isn't really moving this case forward at all. And that's so concerning to me. I had hoped that the ruling from the Indiana Supreme Court would have slowed this down. And, well, no, it didn't. It's not going anywhere. So
No. The prosecution also filed a motion to compel, claiming that the defense missed a filing deadline while they were removed from the case.
Yeah, well, they weren't his attorneys, so how you want to do that?
This is ridiculous.
It's some petty shit, justice. Is what it is.
Yeah.
It's some petty shit, and everybody needs to calm their asses down and start acting like real attorneys again, and just try this case.
They need a real reset.
They really do. And I just don't see how that's ever going to happen with this judge.
I know.
That is the problem. Without changing judges, this is just going to continue this way, I think. But it's concerning. It's concerning for Richard Allen's rights, and it's very concerning for the families of Abby and Libby.
It is.
The actual victims in this case.
How painful
seem
for
to
them.
Get lost over and over again in all of this.
Yeah. How painful for them to have to watch this legal volley back and forth happening.
Yeah.
It's so bad. So
it is. It's gross. So it's not getting better, that we know, but we'll see what Judge Gull does with all of this nonsense. I'm afraid she's pretty empowered at this point. So,
yeah. Well, also in court today, of course, is the trial for Jennifer Crumbley. Continues to march on. Today was day 3. day 1 and day 2 were bonkers as hell.
Mhm.
Not because of Jennifer, because of Jennifer's attorney, Shannon Smith. My
What
God.
in the hell what is wrong with this woman?
I
Something.
can only imagine. I would have once upon a time said that she attended the Mark Means School of Law. I've amended that now to that I believe maybe she attended the Elena Haba School of Law.
That is more what
But
I was thinking, yes.
so she had multiple meltdowns in court and big clashes with the prosecution. I have a montage I'm going to show you here in just a minute. But her professionalism is seriously lacking, and her preparedness is seriously lacking. Jennifer looks absolutely horrible. She doesn't even look like the same person. My gosh, it's terrible. But also, I have never seen a judge just let the prosecution and the defense just snipe back and forth at each other without shutting it down. And this judge did not seem in control of her courtroom. Like, this is wild, you guys. So
Wow.
today was a little bit more calm. It seems like Shannon kind of got a hold of herself. They were moving on to more witnesses and things. We did hear from Jennifer today. We heard from officers that were on scene. We heard from a few others. One of the videos that has been released is of Ethan right after he was taken into custody. I'm going to show it to you guys. I don't know. It's 3 minutes long. I might cut it before it's over, but I wanted you to see his state of mind, because what's really in question here is, did his parents know how mentally ill he was? Why didn't they get him treatment when he was asking
Right.
for it and clearly needed it? Why did they buy this boy a gun and teach him how to shoot it and not secure it appropriately? Why didn't they take him home that day when the school asked them to? Why did all of these things happen? So
Yeah.
we heard from the school counselor, who said that he didn't believe Ethan would hurt other people. He thought that he was having suicidal ideations and was a threat for hurting himself. He also said that he legally could not force the parents to take him home, and they chose
Right.
not to, and so there wasn't anything he could really do.
Yeah.
We know there's things that should have been done and could have been done differently, but those are some of the things
Definitely.
we've heard today. So I'm going to show you a few clips here. The first 3, I believe, are mostly Shannon Smith, as well as a big confrontation with the prosecution, where at the end of the day, Friday, where basically the judge is finally like, everyone go home. Just go home. We're done.
Get
Bye-bye.
out of my courtroom.
Yeah. So, and then of course, Ethan, I'm going to tell you, seeing Ethan right after this happened it's gut wrenching. Just fair warning. All right. Well, here we go.
I guess some emotion is involuntary, so I guess I'm asking what you're asking of me.
I think it should apply to both sides.
John, first of all, I was not sobbing, and this is horrific.
I've never seen this before.
It's horrific. That's why we asked the court not to play it. This is horrific. I don't know how the prosecutor. She's watched it 100 times with these witnesses. It's horrific.
You've had this video for over 2 years.
I don't know. I don't have this video. I have to go to their office to watch it.
You've seen it.
No, I haven't, because it's not necessary. It's not relevant to my client's case. We've already litigated this, but we're doing our best. We were not sobbing or making a scene. Your Honor, then I need them to send me this proposed exhibit.
You have it. You already have it.
23.
Yep. You had it in January of 22.
To give me the original file of 423, because I don't have 423, and I will go through and redact it. I'll do it tonight.
Judge,
Okay, but
they have it.
You can't just redact it. They have to know
Well,
what
I-
requested.
I'll mark off what
The
needs to be
truth
redacted.
should matter. She has 423. It's the entire Facebook message string between Jennifer Crumbley and James Crumbley. It's the thing that she piles up. She has that string. So
The Coeur we can produce a proof of service first thing Monday morning.
No, and I'm not saying I do have it in the evidence. I don't have it. They're talking about it as if they've given me a 423. They haven't. It's buried in the stacks of evidence.
Okay.
That's fine. I'll dig it out. I will go through it tonight. I will let them know what I want redacted.
Okay.
All I want is redacted.
we provided a digital copy.
thumb drive.
I don't understand.
There's a thumb drive that has 420.
Yeah.
Yeah, they handed it to me today. Well, we've been in court for 8 hours.
Okay,
So
but you're the one who asked for it to be admitted, right? You're the one who asked for it to be admitted. So, what weekend will you tell them the witnesses you're going to call Monday? Will you do that?
We tell her every single day when she
No,
has
they
picture
tell
of
me
this.
it.
But we do. If I can,
9:30 at
if
night.
I can just finish.
Okay,
I
I'm
can
sure
just
you
finish.
don't know yet exactly.
We already changed that today. I mean,
Okay.
that does change. But
What do you?
So I just want the court to know I'm doing my best to object and to handle the evidence.
I don't envy your job, Ms. Smith.
So I'm not sure what the purpose of providing an exhibit list is if she's not going to actually go through it.
That is just misleading, and I'm tired of it.
Okay. Please let us know she has some issues with some of those pictures, and we'll figure if she tells us which ones, then we'll decide if we want to stipulate. If not, then we can handle it before the jury.
Oh, I can already tell you they're not going to stipulate. I can tell you we're going to need time on the record. Like, problem is, they won't tell me who they're calling. They gave me the exhibits after the trial, the list of exhibits after the trial started. There's one of me. I have co-counsel that has not been with me this whole ride. And so I'm doing the best I can, and I have to sleep at night. And I've been here for 8 hours a day this whole week.
Just one thing I think is important. I asked this court to instruct counsel to show the appropriate decorum in this particular case. The jokes indicating I'm going to kill myself in a joking manner. I'm drinking 5 bottles of wine.
It's just there are parents who had their children murdered in this courtroom, and we are the people who communicate with them after we leave
I
here.
said something about lying because I was looking at her exhibit and it was teetering, and I was trying to nicely suggest that I would like you.
But making a joke about killing yourself in this courtroom at this time, I understand.
I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I did not mean it like
yelling
that.
that I don't
I
want to
did not mean it like that, and they know I didn't mean it like that.
Okay.
We're responding to literally just sitting here, the amount of messages we get from victims in the community, and I just think just to be at an abundance of respect and caution, if we could just not say things like that. I'm not accusing anyone of any malice or any bad intent. I'm just asking that we just not engage in that, because this is hard enough for the people who are sitting here now and who will be sitting here next
I
week.
understand. It's very hard.
Your Honor, I am not joking around about anything.
Okay, I think it was a slip of the tongue. It was a slip of the tongue. All right. Emotions are running high. We also, a lot of people are saying it's a shooter.
But Your Honor, I do want to make a point. I'm not making an objection because my emotions are running high. In fact, I'm not having an emotional response here. I am simply asking that we be respectful to victims. That's it.
Your Honor, I am being respectful. So that is implying I'm being disrespectful. Me saying I'm going to kill myself, I didn't mean in any way to offend
I know you did.
these families.
I know you didn't. It was a slip of the tongue. She's just.
It was absolutely not related to them.
I know.
This shooting is awful. It's the prosecution that's parading all of this up here and putting the victims
Parading?
through
The
this.
shooting is the result of the defendant's gross negligence. That is the case.
They are the ones putting the victims
everybody
through,
needs-
re-seeing all of this
everybody needs to
over and
go.
over
Your
and
Honor,
over.
Whoa! Everybody needs to go home. Everybody needs to go home. All right?
I understand, but we're not putting victims through anything. And I'm sorry, but that just because everybody's disagreeing doesn't mean everyone is inappropriate. We aren't putting victims through everything. We're prosecuting our case,
Okay.
and we're trying to do it in the most efficient way
And she's
possible.
defending her case. I think that was a slip of the tongue. Everybody needs to take a deep breath and go home. Everybody go home. I'm going home.
All right.
Move to the next one.
You don't stop it. Why did you stop it? Why did you stop it? Why did you stop it? I know you stop it. Please 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 stop it. Why did you stop it, God? Why did you stop it? Why did you stop it, God? Why did you stop it? Why did you stop it? You let it happen. Why? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, please, God. I'm sorry.
Whew.
Wow.
All right. Well, let's back up. What they were fighting about there is that at one point, Shannon Smith was trying to get her computer to work and was struggling with it and said, "Oh, I'm going to kill myself." What kind of
What, lady?
attorney blurts that out in the middle of court? Like,
Right.
are you kidding me? She also joked about going home and drinking 5 bottles of wine.
Dude, grow up. This is not how you behave in court.
The other clip, and for some reason I cut off the most important part. I'm so sorry I did that. The judge, it was the very first one. What happened is that when they were showing some footage of the shooting, she was crying loudly.
Yeah.
And the prosecution rightfully asked that she be instructed to keep her emotions in check. And she got really pissed off and, said she wasn't sobbing and that this is shocking. And, all of that. This is the first time we've seen that. This is discovery that was available to them. They just didn't bother to go see it.
Right. You didn't bother to watch it?
But when she, in the middle of that confrontation with the judge, she turned around, faced the audience, and wiped her tears away like this.
Yeah.
And flipped off the entire audience. Like
the victim's parents, for example.
Yeah.
My God.
Then the fight about discovery that she was claiming she didn't have those documents, that they're like, yes, you do. No, I don't. And finally she's like, well, yeah, I do. But basically it boiled down to, I don't want to go find them. Hand me a new copy right this minute was basically.
It was a very John Pryor thing to say, actually.
That was what I thought too. There is a lot. There was another clip where she has a pile of paper in front of her that's like literally more than a foot tall. And the judge finally asks her, can you please deal with this Leaning Tower of Pisa here and get it off of your table so I can see you? And she had to pull this huge stack of papers off and put it aside. She seems very unprepared.
Yeah. Maybe just for life in general, not even just this trial.
Well, yeah, it gets so emotional. I'm here 8 hours a day and I have to be able to eat and sleep and very overwhelmed. It's
lady.
Something. The fact that they hadn't gone to the attorney's office or the prosecutor's office to view some of that discovery because she didn't find it relevant to their case.
Yeah.
Even though she knew that was discovery that could likely be used. It's wild.
Yeah, that is really wild.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh,
but I thought
this does not bode well.
No, but I thought that bit of Ethan being taken into custody was really
a
peek into his mindset at that time. If you could decipher anything, he was sobbing and saying, "Why, God, didn't you stop it? Why, God, didn't you stop it?" And then a lot of "I'm sorries," of course, but he said, "Why, God, why, God, didn't you stop it?" many, many times in that exchange. In such that voice too.
Oh yeah. Very unwell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's what's going on in Crumbley. Basically, today they shared a lot of text messages between Jennifer and John, or James. Some text messages between Jennifer and the stable owner where her horses are.
Mm-hmm.
And she had told them earlier that she had a lesson that day, and she had earlier said she didn't know if she'd be coming because her son was having an issue at school. Then texted them and said, "Oh yeah, I think we've got it handled. I'll definitely be out for my lesson." This was after they were called to the school, where they spent a whole 12 minutes with the counselor hearing about, how disturbed Ethan was acting, how concerned the school was, showing them the pictures he was drawing of a school shooting with blood everywhere, saying with a caption that said, "Help me," and opting to not, the school wanted them to take him and get him into services immediately. They opted to not do that. Then, of course, we know that the shooting happened, and she had already said, "Oh yeah, he's fine. I'm definitely coming out for my lesson and to ride horses today." She had no intention of getting him into therapy at all.
Mm-hmm. No, she had never done it before. Why would she start then?
Ethan was
when her
really
son
sad.
Already had the gun.
Mm-hmm. Ethan was really sad because his dog had died a couple of months beforehand, and his only friend had been sent by his parents away to another state to a treatment center to help him to try to deal with his mental health issues.
Oh boy.
That's where he was. Yep.
Yikes.
So, again, it's all very sad. This is an incredibly hard thing for the victims' families to have to sit through yet again. The first person on the stand was actually a teacher who was shot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
she
that was very interesting.
really
I saw her
powerful.
testimony. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll continue to follow it. I hope the antics cool down from here. They were much better
I
today.
sure hope so.
Yeah. So with that, Christy, there's a local case that we've been following for a time now. This was actually a murder that happened only about a mile from me.
Yeah.
That isn't the Daybell case, surprisingly. And you're going to give us a sentencing update in Pierre Lake.
Yeah. This is Pierre Lake. Pierre was sentenced today. So Pierre has pled guilty to this incident. It was a home invasion that happened in 2021 in which he murdered Ralph Bryan and seriously injured Ralph's wife, Karen. So he had pled guilty. We've been waiting for a verdict to see what was going to happen. This kid is only 19 years old. And you'll know this name, District Judge Stephen Boyce, who is the Daybell Vallow judge, sentenced Pierre Lake to a minimum of 30 years in prison and a maximum of life for the first-degree murder charge. Because he pled guilty, they dropped some of his charges because he had a first-degree attempted murder charge as well. And they dropped that in order for him to plead guilty in this situation. This was a really, really scary, very random crime.
Nope.
The Bryans were our beloved people.
Yeah.
This kid literally just said he was going to go kill somebody, and then he did.
And just picked a house.
And just picked a house. He lived in Rigby, Idaho, which is about 15 miles from Rexburg, Idaho. And he just went to Rexburg and found a house and went in and murdered Ralph Bryan and nearly killed Karen Bryan. It's just
and
so
Karen is
senseless.
permanently disabled, besides the
Yes.
fact that she has to live with this and watching her husband get murdered.
Yeah.
One
She
of our
was
dear
stabbed multiple
listeners,
times.
yes, one of our dear listeners has shared with us that Pierre Lake was a terrible bully to her daughter in high school and nearly bullied her to
Yes.
suicide in high school.
Yeah. That this kid has been problematic for a long time. Here are the Bryans. This is Ralph and Karen, obviously in better days. Karen and her daughters both spoke at the sentencing today, and I hope for them they can have a little peace moving forward. This event happened 2.5 years ago, but when there's still a trial pending and all of this stuff pending, it's like doesn't give you the opportunity to really start to heal and move forward. And so I'm hoping for Karen and her family that she can do that now.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm just grateful that Pierre Lake is off the street.
Yeah.
Very, very disturbed young man who should not probably ever be in public again.
Definitely not. Yep. Well, that's it. That was action-packed. Wow. So much happening.
That was a lot.
So we'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode. We were going to stream the Daybell hearing, but since it's been vacated, we'll be doing some other stuff. We will also, tomorrow, you'll see 2 Patreons come out for January. So watch for those as well if you're a patron. If you're not and you'd like to be, just head over to truecrimesquad.com. You'll find our link there for Patreon, and you can just go to Patreon and look for True Crime Squad. but it's a leveled system. You can choose which level you'd like to be on and get additional content from us every month, as well as everything else we do. So that's there for you. Please like, share, follow, do the things if you will. We appreciate you a lot. Please take good care of yourselves, friends. We're living in a wild world. Be safe, be smart, be kind to yourselves, please. This has been yet another production of the True Crime Squad.
Bye, everybody.